So today we're going to talk a little bit about what's the idea of searching for your top school. There's a lot of hype these days about finding a top school, top university. You gotta go for the top. What does that actually mean? And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today as you guys begin to determine what universities in America you might be applying to. So we're going to start off a little bit with the myth of a selective. The myth of a selective school. Anyone idea what a selective school is? Can anyone give me an example of a selective school? Harvard. The classic example that comes to mind is Harvard. Yeah, Harvard would be the example of a selective school. Now, let me ask you something. Does anyone know how many people applied to Harvard last year? Or I'm sorry, this past application season that are waiting for responses? Does anyone have any idea how many people applied? Yes. Yes, Ms. Mason?
I don't know exactly, it's about 33,000?
Yeah, actually, all the way to 35,000.
I saw all the boxes in the admissions office.
Yeah, it was great, right. 35,000 students. And has Harvard increased the size of their class? No. That only means it's getting harder and harder to get into. Now, I kind of wonder what are driving 35,000 students like yourselves to apply to Harvard? Well, how many of you, if you were accepted by Harvard, okay, imagine forgetting the whole application process, if tomorrow you have an acceptance letter from Harvard University in the mail, how many of you would want to go? How many of you, so that's pretty much almost everyone, how many of you would still want to go to Harvard knowing that they actually take their finals after their vacation? So during your vacation, you have to be studying for your finals. How many of you would still want to go to Harvard? Wow, hands dropped a little bit. How many of you would still want to go to Harvard if you knew that you had less than a 50% chance of getting to know any of your professors? Because they're more concerned with their graduate students. How many of you would still want to go to Harvard as an undergraduate? Even less. And how many of you would still want to go to Harvard knowing that through every class, through every activity, through even your social networks, no pun intended, through your social networks, you will be in ferocious competition with your friends all of the time? How many of you would still want to go to Harvard? Wow, we have maybe that was a maybe one hand. That's the idea. This is the idea of breaking down the myth of a selective school. Because a selective school is really about something totally different. In fact, a selective school, they just did this recent study that just came out with this book called Academically Adrift, that they've proven that what a non-selective school is are schools whose 25th percentile, that means that 25% or more of the students at the school, have a combined SAT math and critical reading of 950. That is what they consider a non-selective school. That means that there are maybe about 300 to 400 selective universities in America. And what they found in this study was that, I don't know what happened there, but that's supposed to say that from 950 all the way up to 1600, quality doesn't differ. They found that in this study, that it didn't matter if you were at Harvard or another selective school, as long as your combined SAT score was above 950, the quality didn't differ. So what we're going to look at today is why do we have this built-up myth? Because it benefits the universities. Let's take myth number one. An Ivy League degree equals more money. How many people believe this? Well, clearly you don't know how much money I make, because that doesn't work. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that using a cool company called PayScale, which amortizes salaries across different industries, they took the starting salary, and you know who had the starting salary? Wasn't a Harvard grad. Didn't even come from the Ivy League. In fact, the number one starting salary was from Caltech. So if you want to be the richest after graduating, you go to Caltech. Or, you know, it was a close runner-up, literally $1 difference, was this amazing, well-known university, Loma Linda University. I did not even know this university. I had to look it up. I'm not kidding you. I looked it up last night. I said, wait, what? Seriously? It is a school for nursing and dental science and physical therapy, and their graduates all have starting salaries of $65,000 a year. Those are the top 2 earners, not Harvard, not Princeton, no Brown, nothing like this. And in fact, another neat little fact is that Babson, Claremont McKenna, Johns Hopkins, Malloy College all have higher starting salaries than Harvard. So clearly, going to an Ivy League school does not mean more money. Myth number 2. Brand name means the best program. How many of us think this? Oh, I go to Stanford, I'm going to have the best program in everything. We're starting to be a little more cautious with our beliefs. I like that. Well, that's true. Take a look at a couple of these programs. One is creative writing. If you want to be a creative writer, the best program to go to is at the University of Iowa. In fact, I have friends from Brown, who went to undergrad at Brown, fighting tooth and nail to get into their master's program. Iowa. There is nothing to do in Iowa, man. You don't want to go to Iowa if somebody paid you to go to Iowa, and yet they fight to get into this program. Or take a look at civil engineering. If you want to be a civil engineer, the number 1 program is at University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, a state school. The top program for entrepreneurship, how many of you want to start your own company, is at Babson College. And the top program in something that's up and coming, like sustainable agriculture, which is an up and coming business, is at a school called California State San Luis Obispo. So the idea that you have to go to a brand name school to get the best program isn't true. And while your friends may think that, the people in the creative writing industry or the sustainable agriculture industry know what the best programs are. And they rank it based on this. So we have to kind of undo these myths a little bit. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how do we get beyond these myths and start to evaluate schools that actually relate to what we want to do. But we've